Something changed in Patrick Mahomes. And if you only look at the highlights, you'll miss it because the change isn't louder, it's quieter. It's not in the no look passes, not in the 60-yard cross-body lasers, not in the fourth quarter comebacks that break stadiums. It's in the restraint. It's February 2026. Kansas City isn't hosting a parade. There's no confetti drifting through the cold Missouri air. The Chiefs are watching the postseason from home, and for the first time in years, the league feels balanced again. Mahomes is rehabbing a torn ACL, and the narrative is simple. Maybe the magic is fading. Maybe the scrambling was the superpower. Maybe defenses finally built the blueprint. But what if the injury isn't the beginning of decline? What if it's the final step in evolution? Because long before that knee buckled, Patrick Mahomes had already begun transforming into something far more calculated and far more dangerous. Early Mahomes was a storm. 2018 didn't feel like a breakout season. It felt like a system overload. 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, throws that defied geometry. Defensive coordinators leaving games looking like they just tried to solve calculus without a calculator. He didn't play quarterback the traditional way. He erased the traditional way. Deep drops became launch points. Broken pockets became improvisation theaters. Third and forever felt like third and manageable. With Tyreek Hill stretching coverage vertically and Travis Kelce dissecting the middle, every snap felt one mistake away from catastrophe. Safeties cheated forward, bomb over the top. Safeties stayed deep, dagger routes underneath. Mahomes thrived in chaos because chaos amplified his creativity. He didn't just read defenses, he reacted faster than they could process. But here's the thing about chaos, it's intoxicating, and it's unsustainable. The league studies greatness the way predators study prey. Every offseason is a lab. Every coordinator is searching for tendencies, pressure points, patterns. And by 2022, the answer wasn't to outgun Mahomes. It was to suffocate him. Two high safety shells became the league's shield. Take away the explosives, force patience, remove oxygen from the deep passing game, and then Tyreek Hill was gone. Suddenly, the track meet slowed down. The receiver room was younger, less polished, timing became fragile, drops appeared in moments that used to feel automatic, and for the first time, Mahomes had to operate without overwhelming speed as a cheat code. This is where most quarterbacks get exposed. When the cheat code disappears, so does the illusion. But instead of forcing the old version to survive, Mahomes did something far more impressive. He adapted. He stopped chasing the knockout punch. Watch the tape from the last few seasons before the injury. The fireworks are still there, but they're rationed, controlled, calculated. He takes the 5-yard hitch, the 6-yard check down, the shallow cross on 2nd and 8. He's willing to string together 12-play drives without flinching. That's not regression. That's discipline. Earlier in his career, if you gave him a half window, he'd test it. If you showed a blitz look, he'd gamble on the explosive counterpunch. Now, he dissects first, attacks second. Pre-snap has become his laboratory. He uses motion not for style, but for answers. He shifts tight ends to force coverage declarations. He sends receivers across formations to expose man versus zone. He changes cadence to bait pressure. You can see it in his eyes before the snap. He's not scanning nervously. He's cataloging information. Corner outside leverage, back shoulder available, linebacker tilted toward the A-gap, blitz probability rising. Safety cheating half a step inside, seam route becomes viable. He's playing chess while the defense is reacting in checkers time. And here's what makes it terrifying. He's doing it without needing perfection around him. When Mahomes first arrived, the offense could win with explosion alone. Now it wins with margin control. He protects the ball better. He understands game flow better. He knows when a punt is acceptable. He knows when field position is a weapon. That maturity doesn't show up in highlight reels. It shows up in January. Look at the third downs over the last few seasons. The way he manipulates underneath defenders with his eyes. The subtle pocket slides that buy 0.4 seconds, just enough for a dig route to clear. Early Mahomes escaped pressure with speed. This version avoids pressure with anticipation. He doesn't wait for the edge rusher to break free. He feels it forming. He climbs the pocket before it collapses. He shifts laterally without panic, always maintaining throwing posture. It's economical movement, minimal waste, maximum control. And then the injury happens. The ACL tears, and the immediate reaction across the league is predictable. Will he still be mobile? Will he lose that second reaction magic? Will he still be Mahomes? But that question assumes mobility is still the core of his dominance. It's not. Mobility was the amplifier. Processing is the engine. If anything, the injury may accelerate the final transition from creative gunslinger to surgical field general. Think about the great quarterbacks who extended their primes. Tom Brady wasn't winning with speed at 40. Peyton Manning didn't dominate with athleticism. Drew Brees didn't overpower defenses with arm strength. They survived and thrived with processing speed. Mahomes is entering that mental phase while still possessing elite arm talent. That combination is rare. Most quarterbacks evolve into cerebral players because their bodies force them to. Mahomes is evolving by choice before the body fully demands it, and that changes the long-term equation. If the scramble frequency drops by 20%, but the pre-snap accuracy of his reads increases by 20%, what's the net loss? If he throws fewer off-platform miracles but more on-time, on-rhythm completions, is the offense less dangerous or just less flashy? Defenses once feared the 70-yard bomb. Now they fear the 13-play drive that leaves their pass rush exhausted and their linebackers mentally drained. Because the deeper truth about Mahomes' evolution is this: he's learning how to control tempo, not just score. He understands when to accelerate, when to slow the game to a crawl, when to bleed the clock, when to strike before halftime. Game management used to be a footnote in his profile. Now it's a weapon. You can see it in 2-minute drills. He's calm, detached, almost clinical. He knows exactly how many yards he needs before attempting the sideline. He knows when to spike and when to hurry. That's not instinct, that's mastery. And when you combine mastery with creativity, you don't get a lesser version, you get a refined one. There's another layer most people overlook: leadership maturity. Early Mahomes led with energy, with playmaking, with belief. Now he leads with standards. You can see him demanding route depth precision, expecting receivers to adjust coverage mid-play, holding the offense accountable for mental mistakes. Because when the margin shrinks, when you're not living off 60-yard touchdowns, details become everything. And detail-oriented quarterbacks age better. The torn ACL may slow him temporarily, but it doesn't slow the mind. And if anything, rehab seasons often sharpen film study. They force stillness, reflection, obsession with nuance. Imagine a Mahomes who spends months dissecting defensive tendencies while rebuilding his knee. Imagine him returning not desperate to prove explosiveness, but determined to prove inevitability. That's the shift. Early Mahomes overwhelmed you. Prime Mahomes outsmarts you. The AFC spent years trying to survive the fireworks, building secondaries to withstand deep shots, investing in pass rushers to disrupt improvisation. But how do you defend patience? How do you rattle a quarterback who's comfortable throwing 6-yard gains all afternoon? How do you pressure someone who identifies the blitz before you cross the line of scrimmage? You can't bait him into mistakes if he doesn't need heroics. And that may be the final evolution. A quarterback who no longer needs chaos to win. A quarterback who can still create magic, but only deploys it when necessary. There's something more frightening about inevitability than volatility. Volatility gives you hope. Inevitability removes it. If Mahomes returns in week 1 and looks composed, not scrambling wildly, not forcing highlight throws, just calmly dissecting coverage, the league will realize something uncomfortable. The injury didn't reset him. It completed him. Because the most dangerous version of Patrick Mahomes might not be the one throwing across his body on 3rd and long. It might be the one who already knows where the ball is going before the defense finishes lining up. The storm was spectacular, but the surgeon is relentless. And if this evolution is real, if Mahomes has truly transitioned from chaos creator to game controller, then the rest of the league isn't witnessing the end of a dynasty. They're witnessing its second phase, quieter, sharper, more controlled, and far more difficult to stop.